remember my Appalachian Trail announcement video, you recall that I've been backpacking for about 20 years. And so today I want to show you the gear I used 20 years ago and compare it to what I'm using now. And if you saw my AT gear video, then you will already have seen the gear I'm using now, but I'm just showing you again just to compare and contrast. Okay, let's get going. So in terms of the gear that I'm using now, if you've seen my Appalachian Trail gear video, you would recognize my Z-Packs pack. It weighs less than 2 pounds. So, and I've only used it for a couple of years, so not a lot of experience, but certainly a lot of miles. Okay, and I'll show you the other side. It's got a much smaller hip belt and shoulder straps, but it still works. In terms of what I'm using now for water treatment, I'm using a SteriPen. It's an ultraviolet light where you just stick the pen in the water and you have to swirl it around for about a minute or so, and that takes care of it. In the couple of cases where the water's had some debris in it, I've used a bandana to filter the debris out and then sterilize it. I've used this for a number of years and been pretty happy with it. It's certainly lighter than what I used to use with the filter. And this is what I use for cooking. Now, I did work for a number of years with cold soaking, but on the AT I reverted back to heating up water and using that to cook food. So on the left is my mug, which I use as a storage unit for my stove, which is here in the middle. This is my homemade alcohol stove, and then on the right there is my windscreen. So it's a very neat package, and it doesn't weigh very much. It's a mere ounces. Here's my sleeping quilt. I don't use a sleeping bag now. And like I said, this is rated to 30 degrees. And it's about a pound. I don't remember the exact weight. I'm not showing you, because I need to show you the hammock, is my underquilt, which goes under the hammock. But this is the sleeping quilt, which is the equivalent to my sleeping bag from years past. And here is my shelter system. Well, minus the tarp. I won't show you the tarp. If you saw my AT videos, you saw this setup. There, the coiled up thing is my hammock in the snake skins. Snake skins come from Hennessy. I used to have a couple of Hennessy hammocks. Well, I still have the Hennessy hammocks. I haven't used them in a while. But the hammock I'm using now is from Dream Hammock. It's the Darien. And there on the left are the tree straps that connect to the hammock. It's I don't remember the exact weight, but I think the total system, not including the tarp, is around a pound. I think the tarp adds another pound to the whole system. Anyway, it's pretty comfortable, and it's a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit easier to deal with than the tent. This is my Kelty Super Tioga external frame pack. It weighs about 6 pounds empty. Yeah, I only took this on my first few backpacking trips. As you can see, it's got a pretty hefty frame on it. The thing I liked about it when I had it, using it, was the back panel, which would keep most of the pack off of my back, because I, like a lot of people, sweat in my back when I'm hiking. So anyway, yeah, it was okay, but as you'll see with some of the other gear, not on the light side, and when I got it, I really didn't appreciate what kind of a difference that would make. But yeah, it's got a lot of nice features, but again, 6 pounds. And next we'll go to the sleeping bag. This is a North Face Chrysalis, I think that's how I pronounce it, rated to 25 degrees. It's a semi-rectangular bag. I don't remember what the weight is. It's probably at least 2 pounds though. The reason why I purchased this is because I thought of a mummy bag, made me feel claustrophobic, and I wanted something more like what I used to sleep in growing up. Um, Again, needless to say, 2 pounds is a significant amount of weight to carry. But I use this for a few trips, like the pack, um, and it's got actually you can't see there's a hole on the other side. I had to cover up because the down is coming out. Okay, on to the next one. And now for the tent. Now, obviously, I'm just leaving it in its stuff sack. I'm not taking it out and showing it to you. Anyway, this is the Eureka Solitaire. It's a one-person tent. Again, I don't remember the weight. I think it's around 2 pounds, maybe a little over 2 pounds. But like I said, it's small enough that I felt very claustrophobic the first couple of times I was in it. Again, like with some other gear, I only used it a few times before I said, I want something lighter or something, well, in this case, something lighter and something a little bit bigger. um, yeah, so this didn't make too many appearances. And next is the stove I carried. It was a Peak One white gas stove. Put the gas in the metal container, connect that hose there in the middle, and you would pump it up to build up pressure and then ignite the stove unit. I used that a bunch. I'm going to be honest with you, it made me a little bit nervous every time I used it because if you made a mistake, if something like the hose popped off, you could have a serious problem really quick. But I used it a bunch. It was okay. Uh, yeah. So anyway, this I forgot how much this weighs, but this is definitely like a pound and a half at least. Probably over 2 pounds with the include the fact that you'd have to have a full um, container of gas, and the container is obviously thick metal because it had to be. So this was again like the other gear, not very light, but it did work well. I'll give you that. You could adjust it. And next up is the sleeping pad. It's a Thermarest. It's like 1 inch thick. I don't remember the weight. It's over a pound though. So again, not very lightweight. Um, yeah, I'm gonna say I don't recall if I had this from my very first backpacking trip, but I certainly used it a few times at least uh, early on. Yeah, there's not much to say. And lastly, for the old gear, at least the gear that's significant, water filter. Now, I could not find all the pieces to this. There's actually, when I used it, there was two hoses: the a black hose to stick into the water source, and the clear plastic hose, which you connect to your water bottle. In the middle there is a pump that would stick into the filter, which I can't find that. I was looking for it. Um, so that would filter the water. So anyway, and that's again, this was like a couple of pounds or close to it. But the thing I didn't like about it when I did use it a while, obviously, but the thing I didn't like about it was the fact you had all these hoses, like I said, this hose and another hose, and you're trying to go, okay, this hose was in the dirty water, this hose was clean, trying to keep them, sorted out and not, touching everything, and then you have to worry about keeping the filter clean and so forth, and it's all a pain in the butt. So yeah, I used this for a while and then went on to better things. Again, with like the other gear, not on the light side whatsoever. Well, if you saw my gear organization video, you knew I reorganized my gear. In doing so, I did finally my old filter cartridge and the black dirty water hose. So I just told you about the rest of the filter And this is the filter, ceramic filter that filter the water, and the black hose is attached to its intake. And so that's the whole filter situation.